The Horizon scandal is now recognised as the gravest miscarriage of justice in modern British legal history. Over 2 decades, nearly 1,000 sub-postmasters, sub-postmistresses were prosecuted on the basis of faulty IT data. Lives were ruined, livelihoods destroyed, marriages collapsed, and as multiple inquiry reports confirm, at least 13 people took their own lives. Many more contemplated it. Today, the criminal investigation into this injustice has reached a significant new stage. Police are now actively considering whether the post office and potentially Fujitsu could face charges of corporate manslaughter. That marks a profound shift in accountability. The Corporate Manslaughter and Corporate Homicide Act of 2007 allows prosecution where a gross breach of duty of care by a corporation leads to death, and the test hinges on systemic failure, not merely individual wrongdoing. The law asks 4 questions. Did the organisation owe a duty of care to those harmed? Was the duty breached at a senior managerial level? Was the breach grossly negligent? Did the breach cause or substantially contribute to a death? The key here is causation. The police must demonstrate not only organisational culpability, but that specific deaths were foreseeable consequences of post office decisions and behaviour. We now know that the post office continued to persecute people after internal warnings about the unreliability of Horizon data. They withheld critical evidence of faults from courts. They used their unique private prosecution powers to pursue individuals already distressed by inexplicable shortfalls. They told decent people they were thieves. They demanded repayment of money that had never been missing. They put reputations and homes at risk. They used the threat of prison as leverage to secure guilty pleas for crimes that never happened. This was not an isolated glitch. It was a corporate culture of denial and intimidation. Accountability is rightly widening to Fujitsu, whose engineers knew of software faults, and potentially to legal professionals who enabled the prosecutions without proper disclosure. Operation Olympus, launched in 2020, is examining 3 things: perjury by witnesses who presented Horizon as infallible, perverting the course of justice through the concealment of evidence, and now corporate manslaughter, where the psychological trauma inflicted may have contributed to suicide. There are 53 persons of interest in the investigation, 8 named suspects, 5 already interviewed under caution, more than 1.5 million documents. The first trials are unlikely before 2027 because of the sheer scale of the documentation. For the families who lost loved ones, the stakes are immense. A corporate manslaughter conviction would be the first time in British state, through the post office, that someone is found criminally responsible for deaths in peacetime. And the post office is not just another company, it's an arm of government, and the government awarded honours, promotions and bonuses to senior figures while victims were driven to despair. The ITV drama, Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, may have galvanised public attention, but the facts were already screaming from courtrooms and the inquiry chamber. Sir Win Williams' inquiry has documented broken lives with chilling clarity: bankruptcies, depression, imprisonment, shame, an entire profession hollowed out of trust. Here lies the most uncomfortable truth. The post office scandal is not only about technological failure, it's about institutional cruelty. It's about the state's willingness to assume guilt in the ordinary citizen and innocence in itself. Even if corporate manslaughter proves difficult to secure, the fact that it is seriously considered signals a change in attitude. The era of blaming only the sub-postmasters is over. The era of hiding behind corporate structures is ending, and accountability must include criminal sanctions, proper compensation without bureaucratic obstruction, reform of private prosecution powers, and cultural transformation in organisations dealing with the public. If trust in justice is to be restored, the law must follow the harm to its ultimate consequence. The deaths linked to Horizon were not coincidences, they were foreseeable outcomes of institutional pressure, indifference, and a relentless determination to preserve the post office's reputation over human truth. If the state can prosecute those who take a life, it must be capable of prosecuting those who neglect, whose neglect of people destroys a life. Because in a society governed by law, justice cannot only flow downwards, it must also reach upwards.